It's all about the fragrances I've sold this year. It's about 18 or something. What? How many have I bought in this year to be able to sell 18? Is that what you're asking? Not many more than that, really. I've sold most of the ones I've bought. Yeah, I've definitely not bought many more than that. I've just only kept a couple, really. Anyway, we really should film the video now, so let's get on with this, because otherwise it's definitely not bought. Happy New Year, Mother Hubbards. Today I'm back. It's a new year. It's 2020. So I'm wishing you all a very happy new year. I hope this year brings you many delights, fragrance related above anything else, obviously. Today's video is very casual. I'm literally just slouching on my sofa, and what you can't see is I've even got my pajama bottoms and cooler slippers on. This is proper slouchy video today. I just thought I'd do something quite chilled, laid back. I wanted to do something to reflect on 2019, and I thought about doing something that I did last year, which was the top 5 fragrances that I bought that I would rebuy, so they were sort of bangers and keepers. But then I thought, I've been banging on about my favourite fragrances all year, so you probably already know what's going to be in the list, so that's not going to be anything new. So this time I thought I'd just flip that kind of a little bit, and I'd look at the fragrances that I sold this year. So I'm going to cover all of the fragrances I sold. I think there's about 18, 20 of them, so I'm not going to spend too long on each one. I'm just going to kind of go through them and say why I sold them. So all I'm going to be doing is, I've not made a note. I'm basically scrolling through my phone and looking at my eBay kind of emails and account to see what I've sold from this year, and I'm just going to go through, and as I find one, I'm going to just tell you what it was and why I sold it. And some of them, well, nearly all of them you probably recognise because they have featured on my channel. So going back to the first fragrance I sold, I sold Jimmy Choo Man Blue in December 2018. But the first fragrance I sold was on the 6th of January 2019. So I didn't fuck about. I got straight in selling a fragrance in the new year. And that was LTP Vetiver. Now, for those of you that have watched the channel for a while, you'll see that I bought that fragrance really quite cheaply. I think it was like 16 quid or something from TK Maxx. And it was very highly rated, and it was a good find, and it was a good buy. And I did a first impressions video, and it is a really good quality fragrance, and I've since realised that they're actually sort of relatively sought after, and they're sort of quite highly regarded, and it was a very good quality fragrance. But that was the first sort of very vetiver heavy fragrances that I got, and it was then I realised that I'm not a huge fan of kind of strong earthy vetivers. That fragrance was what certified that for me. So as good as that was, I just didn't want to keep it, because I just thought I don't enjoy it that much, that sort of earthy vetiver. So I flipped it and sold it. Now I thought that was going to hang around for ages, but literally that sold within 30 minutes. So I think I totally undersold it. I think I got my money back, or I made a small profit on it. But yeah, I think I could have sold a lot more, because I don't think they're that. It's relatively well sought after. There's not that many. So yeah, LTP Vetiver was the first fragrance I sold on the 6th of January 2019. Next up is a few fragrances that I actually did a video on, so I'll do these quick fire. So you remember ages ago I did a video, 5 fragrances I'm selling and why. So these are those ones. Into March now, and the first fragrance I sold in March was Mars Ventana. Now, or Ventana if you're that way inclined. For those of you again that follow the channel, you may realise back then I did a video looking at the best clones of Dior Sauvage, and Ventana obviously had to be featured, and it is a very good clone. It's very close. I did not get great performance from it though. It was okay performance, but it wasn't great. But the reason I sold it at that time is because I much preferred Cyrus Writer. It lasts really well. It lasts almost as long as the original, and it projects and it performs really well, and the bottle is a lot nicer, it's a lot classier, it's got a weighted cap. So I totally recommend, if you're looking for a good clone of Dior Sauvage, get Cyrus Writer, which you can get for about 20 quid in the UK anyway. So that is why I sold a Mars Ventana, because it was just, yeah, it was good, but performance wasn't great, and I had Cyrus Writer. That said, it's not on here because I sold it kind of, I think, through Instagram. A few months later, I did actually also sell Cyrus Writer, because I'm just not a fan of Dior Sauvage. I much prefer Bleu de Chanel, if I'm honest, and there's lots of others that I'd rather wear as a sort of safe everyday fragrance. So yeah, not a huge fan of Jour Sauvage. The next couple of bottles I sold were from Joop or Yoop or Joop, I don't, however you say it. Anyway, I sold Joop Go and Joop Jump. So I did that as a bit of a double whammy. And Joop Go I much preferred. It's very fresh, very safe, very shower gelish. I'm not a huge fan of the rhubarb note actually, but once that surpasses it, it's a very nice, clean, fresh fragrance, but it's just like, it has a zero projection. It is an instant skin scent on me, which kind of made it a little bit pointless. I did think about keeping it, which I did for a while, and just wear it just after the shower, like around the house, but again, I've got so many fragrances that I've just got much other nicer ones that I'm happy to do that with now. So yeah, the dupes had to go. Next up was a fragrance that I was just quite disappointed with. It's very safe, I mean, I could actually recommend it as a very solid, safe fragrance. It was Mr. Burberry from the House of Burberry. I did a first impressions video of it. I was quite excited because it got kind of good compared to the likes of Bleu de Chanel, etc. And I was looking just for another daily driver, safe fragrance to wear for work, which it totally fulfilled. It totally did that. And my wife actually complimented me on it as well when I was wearing Mr. Burberry, but it just didn't excite me. I just was a bit very solid. I could recommend it as a gift because I think it's very safe, it's very clean, and most people like it. But again, when you've got so many fragrances, I just think, why wear like a 7 out of 10 when I can wear like a 9 out of 10? I just don't see the point. The next fragrance was a fragrance that it was quite a big decision to sell, if I'm honest. I was trying to be a bit ruthless, and because I ended up getting loads of fragrances for the summer. And the trouble is, a lot of summer fragrances are really similar. They're basically all kind of citrusy fresh a lot of the time, and they often don't offer that much that's kind of that different. So it was a really tough decision because I do enjoy this fragrance and it gets very highly rated, but then conversely I thought I'll flip it and get a bit of money back to put towards something else. So the fragrance was Bulgari's Acqua Pour Homme, so the original kind of Aqua. And a lot of people are going to be disappointed by this because it is a really banging, solid fragrance. So it's not like the Aqua Marine, it's the original Aqua, which is a great, solid summer fragrance. I even include it in my top 10, and I still recommend it. Okay, so I'm not dissing the fragrance actually, and sometimes I do actually regret selling it. I sort of wish I did keep it, particularly being a Bulgari fanboy, because it looks quite well. Goes quite well with my Bulgari collection. But I sold it because I was trying to be a bit ruthless, cut kind of some of the collection down a little bit, and I just prefer Aqua Amara. I think it's just got a little bit of something more going on. That said, I have to go easy on Aqua Amara because it is like nuclear power on my skin. Just one spray and it lasts forever, and so if you go too heavy it can get a bit choky. But yeah, I think I just preferred the kind of sweetness from Aqua Amara, where the original Aqua is just, again, very obviously sort of sea salty and very kind of aquamarine kind of vibes going on. So I think I just preferred Aqua Amara, just the sweetness that Aqua Amara gets, and that kind of it's just a preference thing. I just preferred that. So I thought, do I need to keep two? Am I just keeping for the sake of it? Because I'm just very conscious that this is an expensive habit, and I do have a wife, a child, a mortgage, and I just think, and sometimes I think I'm sort of taking the piss a bit how much money I spend on fragrances. So sometimes I do get a bit ruthless and think, no, let's kind of cut this down. Do I need it? So yeah, it just had to go. So the next 3 fragrances I talk about are similar to that, where they weren't easy kind of ones that are boring. I did actually like, and I still recommend to this day, but they just didn't. I had to be a bit ruthless and just had to, and literally it's kind of putting bottles up against each other and going, well, I prefer this one, so why don't I just wear this one instead of that? Do I need it? Do I need to sort of duplicate if they're a bit similar? So the next bottle that I sold was indeed Versace's Pour Homme. So yeah, which again, I sort of regret in many ways because it's a classic and I think I should keep it in my collection. But then it was kind of, I've got a lot of other similar kind of style of fragrances to that. And I also had Dylan Blue as well, which I actually preferred, I think. I preferred Dylan Blue. So it was just kind of like, do I need it? And performance isn't great. It's okay on me if I go heavy. It's kind of got quite low projection, but I can still smell it for quite a while. But yeah, it's not brilliant. So I just thought, again, I've got a lot of other similar sort of soft, easy to wear fragrances, but I do sort of regret that one. I'm not going to lie to you. I do sort of, it's the sort of fragrance that I do sort of wish I could just reach for every now and again. So I do kind of regret that one, because I do wholeheartedly recommend Versace Pour Homme. So yeah, I compared it to Dylan Blue, which I also had, and also Dylan Blue ended up going as well. So I kept Dylan Blue thinking, well, I prefer this. But then, I don't know how long later, a month or a few months later, I then started thinking, well, Dylan Blue and Bleu de Chanel, I'll choose Bleu de Chanel over it. They're really similar, but I prefer Bleu de Chanel. So again, why would I wear a fragrance where I can wear something that's quite similar but I actually prefer? So I end up selling Dylan Blue as well. So again, I sort of regret that, because I'd like to mix that up into my rotation and sort of the daily drivers and the sort of safe everyday working ones. So Dylan Blue is a fragrance that, again, if I can find it cheaply enough, I will probably pick up again, because I do regret that one. Next up might be a shock to some people, because I actually featured this in a few videos, including the most worn fragrances of the year, which I did sort of partway through the year, and I kind of did a video, what fragrances have I worn the most? And this was in there, and it was quite high up. It is Coach Platinum. Now, the reason is, I mean, I caned it. It was basically only half a bottle left, I think, but I did just overwear it. I just killed it. I just wore it a bit too much. When I first got it, I wasn't 100% sure I was going to keep it, so I just kind of wore it a few times, and then it sort of grew on me, and I started really appreciating it. I love that opening, and it kind of just it's a sort of Dior Sauvage-like dry down, but it's kind of stronger on the vanilla. And I do really enjoy it, but I just wore it too much, to the point where when I wore it, once it got to the dry down, I started kind of getting a bit sick of it, and it was a bit choky, because I just got fed up with it. So I just thought, again, I'm just not going to wear it. Perhaps I could have kept it for like a year and then revisited it, but I just thought, again, clear some shelf space, get a bit of money back and put it towards something else. You know, it's like the property ladder, isn't it? You've got to kind of move on to the next thing. So yeah, Coach Platinum had to go, unfortunately. Another fragrance that I sort of regret, I think I sold it a bit too quickly, was the Hugo Man Extreme. So the new kind of version, the new updated version of that classic. Now, I said in the video the reason I got it was because it was like a flashback and it brought back memories, and it did. But kind of wearing it, my wife didn't like it too much. She said it was kind of just reminded her of her dad and stuff like that. So that kind of, not that I wear it for other people, but I do, you know, I want my wife to find me attractive. It's kind of helps sometimes. And yeah, I just didn't, I enjoyed the memories and the flashback more than the scent I found when I actually wore it. Next up, I've just seen in my emails, you may remember that I got Fragrance One, and I did a first impressions from Jeremy's Fragrance One Office for Men, and I did attempt to sell it on eBay. I said I might not keep it, and I did try and sell it, and I've actually got a sold email, because somebody did confirm and did buy it on eBay, but they never paid. They kind of, and then when I tried to chase them, they cancelled and said, "I'm sorry, you know, I don't want it anymore." So they wasted my time, and I did kind of relist it and stuff, and then I was kind of waiting, and the prices started coming down, and I wore it a few more times, and I started sort of just appreciating it a little bit more. Now, I still don't think it's worth the full retail price. It's totally overpriced, but it's very easy, safe, fresh fragrance to wear for work, and that's how I've worn it, and I've worn it quite a few times now, and I've decided to keep it. Next up is a fragrance that I actually raved about in 2018. It featured it in list videos. I did it as my Christmas Day scent of the day. I don't know if I did actually wear it on Christmas Day, but I did wear it my sort of pseudo Christmas Day at the in-laws, because we kind of do a Christmas here and then go and see them. So I did kind of wear it then, and I did rave about it, and I still highly recommend trying it. But I found in 2019, I just, for whatever reason, didn't wear it. It just sat at the back of my shelf, kind of collecting dust and not getting any love. I think it's just because I just buy so many fragrances, I get new, and I just want to wear the newer ones and get kind of excited. So the older ones kind of get pushed back, and it was a case of that. So I just thought, perhaps if I'm not going to wear it, I should just, again, recoup some funds, put that towards something else. So that fragrance is Roberto Cavalli's Uomo, which I highly recommend you try, because it is a great fragrance. In many ways, I regret selling it. I should have just kept it and revisited it and just had a rest from it or whatever, and kind of come back, because it is a banger. It's a floral fragrance, so it's got lavender, black violet, and there's the kind of saffron in there, but it's kind of, and in the base there's tonka, but it's sweetened with some honey. So it's kind of a floral fragrance sweetened with some honey, so it kind of gives it this very nice, clean, fresh, sort of attractive, because the honey is kind of fairly subtle, it just gives it a nice sweetness. So it's a very nice, attractive scent that you could easily wear, safe enough to wear in the office. It's good, you could wear it on a date. A lot of people recommend it for winter. I think it works very, very well in spring and kind of cooler kind of evenings, etc. So yeah, it just collected dust, and I just went through this ruthless phase where it was just, sometimes I look at it and think, this habit's getting out of hand. I need to just kind of, you know, balance it a bit, recoup some funds, just kind of my own mental state. I think, just think, because it's almost like an addiction. So sometimes I sort of be a bit ruthless, sell some on, recoup some funds, so I feel better about this kind of addictive hobby, expensive hobby, kind of mentally, and I just think, yeah, move on. If I'm not going to wear it, sell it. Yeah, so that was one of those ones. I just got ruthless. So we're getting a bit more recent now, so some of these fragrances now, the newer subscribers may remember. So you may recall that I did a video not that long ago about a brilliant kind of hidden gem, and I still stand by this, and I still wholeheartedly recommend this fragrance, but I did sell it, which is kind of seems contradictory, but it was Yohji Yamamoto's Y3 Black Label. Now, it's a, for the money, it's an absolute banging solid fragrance. You get really good performance. It's it has some comparisons to Le Nuit de l'Homme, but it's kind of got this sort of green, sort of earthiness to it, which again is not actually one of my favourite accords. But it's absolutely solid for a daily drive if you're not a collector and you just want a cheap, solid fragrance that performs quite well and you can wear to work. I'll heartily recommend it. But so I had that, but I just found, again, as good and solid as it was, I just wasn't excited by it. I would rather wear Le Nuit de l'Homme, to be honest. I've got the EDT, I've got the EDP, and I've got other fragrances that I can just wear to work, like Prada L'Homme, or even Jeremy's Office, or, you know, Bleu de Chanel. All these ones I just enjoy more. So again, why kind of wear one that doesn't excite me when I can wear some that do? So yeah, wholeheartedly recommend you try it though, or even, you know, it's cheap, so it's buy and buy worthy by all means. Two fragrances left now. The first is Hugo Reversed. Again, very recently. You may recall I picked this up and I got a cracking deal on this. I ended up getting this kind of half price. It was reduced anyway, and I got it half price, so I picked it up for about 15 quid. And it's a really solid fragrance, but again, just didn't excite me. I just wasn't excited by it, and I had others that for summer that I would kind of prefer. So I ended up, the reason I flipped that, the main decider was I made profit on it. So I bought it for about 15 quid and I sold it for like 25 or something. So I just thought, again, why keep it if I'm not excited, and I can actually get some money back and put it towards something else. So yeah, that went. And the last fragrance is something that I sold in November, so I went all of December without selling anything. And it is Roberto Cavalli's Just Cavalli. Now, I featured this in my Gym Sense video, and again, I stand by it. It's a very easy to wear, it's quite poor performance, but it's easy. They're cheap fragrance that you can just chuck in your bag, wear to the gym, and that's basically how I wore it. I just didn't really wear it out during the day or weekends because the performance wasn't great. I would just wear it just before I went to the gym, and it works great for that. You can get it for less than £20. But again, didn't really excite me that much. I kind of it just become that sort of second-rate fragrance where it was just a gym scent or in my bag or whatever. So I just thought, again, I've got a big enough collection. I can even just throw some sample bottles or something. I can wear anything. So it was just like, why kind of keep it? But again, still stand by that. It's a very solid, clean kind of gym fragrance. Is great, but the performance is shocking. So just remember that. That's why it works purely as a gym scent and probably nothing much else. So that's it. That's all the fragrances I sold. I hope you got something out of this video. It might have helped you decide to get something or not get something. But what I'd really like is to get a bit of a conversation going from this one. I'd love to know what you sold and why. Did you wear something too much and get sick of it like I did with Coach Platinum? Is there something that you just didn't excite you? Is there something, that particular accord that you didn't like? You know, Did you just find a new improved version? Is there any flankers that outdid the originals? Anything like that? I'd love to kind of know kind of how you supersede, or are you like me? Do you kind of evolve your collection? So you kind of have some, buy some new ones, the older ones start getting pushed out. It's kind of like a little bit like a funnel. You get new ones going at the top and old ones coming out the bottom. So is that you, or is it just me? I don't know. Thanks again. If you haven't already done so, do hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you for the next video. Take care. Much love.